all the things have been done and all the things have been created there. You'll be well damned to be sure, Chase. But there is a kind of a place, you say, where is the start? Alright, you gotta be first notified what is the reality of the things, and it's just you gotta realize what real things are all about. And Sam Salvos says, alright, all of the persons, they do nothing exceptionally special. So there are 2 times appear willing to spend time, so like doing this kind of right. Here it is, the kind of fight where there has been a pride fight. So you kind of portray the truth of the population of this. It's always so quite interesting and in a kind of ways. Speaking of marriages and kind of all the timoters, it can be common in anybody's price, but you put yourself, you put your time, you put your concentration, you put your interest there, and the other part, you made it for a choice, but where you put a crap on, where you were to pick on, and just one of the things is again I have no question, and this lack of the information to serve my own good self is the way what I'm definite selfish and my own interest, of course. The second thing is in my own interest, right? If you were to say, we did cut the system to the pride, here the comment says, this is what kind of thing with some kind of the page. When it comes up to talking about the issue kind of the feature itself, it's always changing how much you concentration, of course they're now present, but the question of the every single details here in particular we can just go looking for after the human itself, the human condition, the physical term, and look at us what weaknesses and the physical does, and when we have been issued it, there are 4 parts. And there is of course the systematic of the relatives. There is a plot of the millions of all kind of the things which have been issued itself to be a kind of the price. And one of each of them have been found out to be in reality some kind of the what does this mean? Alright. So it's time to really talk about and we're to talk about the price. So you should have the chance of feature of exchange interaction between the people population apart just to find out the lower amount of trust. So what kind of the new feature technological changes humanity, population, moral, and the changes in the way the things in terms of are in the physical form, condition, object, and integration, all of them are subject to the quickly engage in the changes or rationalization. When all the changes have always a counterforce, slowness, which is the question come in the talk about the intelligence itself. The intelligence we gotta have of course we can't just put all of the table. I mean we don't need to have a too structural speaking because it's too much to bet your friends because it's not important or the word correct the correct, it's not the word. The most important is of course the mainly focus of the what I'm representing here. Representing the facts, representing the talk issues and metaphor, what is it here, and not this grammar correct language or the each of the with the identification, of course, each of the issues which I'm in here kind of talking about, the duration of it, getting better detail talk about. So, now that these are lecturers, alright, at this stage everybody seems to make a lecturers, alright, some lecturers still however stand for much longer, and of course they are fully admired by each of the choice. So, what you love that these people, when they come with their own, the guys, alright, if you were just you create a case, alright, this is what I want to do, and this is what I put my time self tries. Then you kind of chase whatever you do there, it is this occupational. But okay, let's go straight to what I'm here talking about. I was really meaning the human condition, the stereotype of the integration with the peoples, the systems, and the society, different levels, and whatever it takes. So, what is this here taking a place, a chance, exception now? Of course, we come to the rise of the intelligence, and of course, the subject, the higher for increase of the speed of the increase in it, intelligence values. Once you come to intelligence values can be example measured by IQ or the condition of the technological change, which is always a speed up the process. They always have a call the intelligent machines and all of this technological able to themselves to develop and the hiker function and level up, and all the time to get into the very next part. And it's just called that this over proportion was expansion, and it was expand their age. What are the name they gave to the time table? What was estimation of days, and of course the critical. And what kind of this, the crew of persons they made this themselves quite a lot of any kind of the prediction about the future, of the prediction of the things, the prediction of the next moment, and prediction of the future events. Exceptional they made the prediction about the technological breakthroughs, foundation discoveries, and exceptionally more importantly perhaps to the sociological changes and adaptation to these technological machines, what itself does. Well, what our is new, but what is it a shop you're going to take it apart? We know that it's of course a lot of different technological foundation and before they can adapt to take it here for time. Of course, we have had a lot of plenty of different inventions been around, which haven't already mean that all of this have disappeared. In the world, we have, of course, the regard of the limited amount of time, unlimited amount of energy, limited amount of material, limited amount of the everything. What is called the finite universe itself, or infinitiness, meaning that everything has some self-limits, meaning that without this limit you cannot anymore to push boundaries. Looking for after all, of course, is a human positive beside us, intelligence, all of this we have been common themselves as a recreation by all the function in a common to a life, common to the state of the currency, or just have been a discovery. It's called a path in when every single event correlates itself to the next step, and therefore, as like a human creatures, it will be never satisfied. It will be a direction will be supplicate everything else alongside its own vicinity towards its infinity, or simply call it this kind of the state, which like in any of the things an expansionalis. And when an exponential increase, any kind of the subject have a rate of factor or a value itself was in times. It's usually like in the black holes. It's called on the mathematical function that it's got the infinite zoom in a breakthrough the limit point where it is the increase have become unlimited itself there. So what does this mean? That it characterizes if we have example mathematical function example x and y set a ratio y, and there is a 1 and there's a limit points when it have been already reached it, and it's going to be on. And at that point, it have been all those moments. Everything will happen. It just to increase the minimum, maximum time, or there it is. The mathematical features, but in a real life, even whether we have black holes and all that, shows it is kind of is there really those limitlessness things. Alright, so that would have a big expansion. So I find myself with this kind of itself the interesting or not, or the characters, the peoples and the world itself, they're getting huge amounts of interesting care, and of course they come with the technological. And when it comes to looking for the human creatures itself, all those individuals themselves have already in the modern world, exceptionally we've got concentration ship to the changes what has happened in the past 50 years, 20 years, 10 years, 100 million, trillion years, what will be said. What is ever is a long time, and what is a short time, what is a time and all, and so the blood of the things come and blood of the things go, and as the kind of minor times, the blood dies. So what is the tale based in Spanish language depending with all of this technological, they are all willing to teach this all of information price. The reality, the truth. There might be always a reality, the truth after every case it does. But here is the minimum amount of information have been carried out to this, and it is, and therefore I got a feeling like I'm alienated of the judge to be true and tell the judge system instead of the establishment of equality, fairness, cultural equality, and fraternity. Fraternity is a kind of issue what it's of course equality, but also inequality itself, the persons themselves to feel that the counterpart interpret themselves or to the similar to themselves. So we got a lot to approach whether those people's individuals themselves are represented. So, and we have a kind of pride. So it's well, so you like a little moral of it, you have a freedom, you are not afraid to when you go out to protest against justice or crimes against your own rights. Well, look at who's cause of your laws, and you are in it to get the who calls it to share, to fight. And I think coming up with a pretty come out to case. There is a part of a person who themselves take a reality. So, it is the ultimate state of this freedom machine you always gotta be looking for. You don't actually know, but what is the physical limit, the existence of the everything, terms of all of this code. There's a given meaning that there have the intelligence have been few very important to the kind of the personal and the intuition of themselves. These are a few categories that they are in vision, and they are very well to be properties of this. Well, what are the properties of the intelligence itself have been this? It's the power of the self-survival and control over the environmental land and interaction, using it towards its own goals of the flourish and thrive. And this goal of the coming of the next step. Alright, let's go to the next step then. We're gonna play the next step. What if coming to flourish and thrive, orientation, the next power prize. And the next step is called the prayer, pray and know for a shepherd. Was it the flowery, prayed, they had to wait decades to be free from it, ultimately decided to abolish. The same things happen here. The one with the more money has the power. When we kind of realize this is the way the control of power without the test. The highest degree of the control of everything to power, to mean they have a power, but could say put that coverage, like in ways there have been kind of the vision will have been getting army power, superpower of the creator, they use to say creator of all the things, and everything have attained own vision of the purpose, and their own reason to be exist under the part of object without the existence. And all the things which are unexistent have been prototyped to the currency. And of course the modern time, there's of course prototypes to the next step in the future itself. We have to be understand of course the physical nature of force levels chase it. Of course interesting how our powers can chase the possibilities of different things in a universe of gravity and forces with the deterioration of the things. Things would cause a very ultimately to everything's to fall apart, breaking, destroying, and deteriorate in the longer distance time. At this kind of time, they have been come to be understood in the very good effect itself that the things really destroyed, get apart, and there is really nothing gonna be destroyed and to stop the progress, stop the process when all the things stays. So what is the result? The individuals themselves are. And it's a high contrast type. So we get the cameras. Alright, this indication we use a trace. But do they have asked me 20 questions to justify all of this progress of the existence here? Well, what we got the chapters of the trace. Of course, if they influence the article way here, how is I am treated by the trace. The questions I have been asked, and the decision will be either given, or the option whether will be equalized. Of course, then is a control method of these things, where the price, they take over the price, and this is how the society shall have always worked, and white supremacy will be expected to work forever. Choice, you come in with the first, a fatality.